Hamilton Aging in Community thanks everyone very much for attending our event today to raise awareness and support for the Mary Buzzell Scholarship Fund. So we warmly welcome you. We are very much looking forward to our guest speakers today, Dr. Irene Turpin and Dr. Christopher Patterson. Christopher will tell us about Mary, her achievements, and working with her. And Irene is going to share her wisdom for older adults or, ones getting up into that area as she journeys through her chapter in her life right now and what she can share with us. So today is an opportunity to celebrate the late Mary Buzzell, her life and her accomplishments. Just a reminder that we are recording this so that we can post it to our website and our YouTube site. If you don't want your face shown, you can always turn off the video if you don't want to do that. So now I'm going to call upon one of our board members, Sean McKenzie, to read the land acknowledgement.
All right. So we acknowledge that the lands we live, work, and meet on are the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississauga. This land is covered by the Dish with the One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between Haudenosaunee and the Ashkenatnak to share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. We further acknowledge that this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
Thanks, Sean. So one thing I learned decades ago is the importance of movement. The saying, if you don't use it, you'll lose it, has always stuck with me. I've also learned that as we age, movement can become difficult. Aging can throw obstacles in our way, like joint pain or imbalance, fatigue, or the fear of falling. Movement becomes an intentional activity every day as we age. So I'm definitely not doing what I was doing when I was 30 or even 50. There's too much arthritis in my joints. So in spite of the obstacles thrown in my way, I walk my dog every day. I go to WaterFit 2 to 3 times a week. I tend to my garden during gardening season. I do housework. I go shopping. But because I spend hours every day writing and researching, I make sure I get up and move around or do a little workout. So nothing intense do I do, just something that is just right for where I'm at. So as we begin our celebration of Mary and resilient aging, I'm inviting you to join me in some chair exercise to help get the blood going and keep our joints flexible. Anybody do chair exercise? Any people know what it is? Okay, so we're going to do some of that to get us moving. It's a video from Zumba Gold. It's on YouTube. They've got lots of them. But like the instructors tell us in WaterFit, you always move at your own pace and don't overdo it. So I'm going to share that video with you, and hopefully you'll join me in doing a little bit of movement before we actually get going into our program. So it's really cute. You don't have to go full out, if you don't want to. Just enjoy it.
I wanna put on my boogie shoes.
Now that wasn't too bad, was it? Um, so that's Zumba Gold, and they have lots of exercises for sitting in a chair. You don't have to even stand up. It's great. So at this point, I'd like to call on Ellen Ryan to introduce Hamilton Aging and Community. Thanks, Ellen.
Thanks, Loretta. Hamilton Aging and Community is in its 13th year. Mary Buzzell was a founding member back in 2013. You've already met two of our board members. Loretta is the president of Hamilton Aging and Community, and Sean McKenzie is the treasurer, and Leanne Holloway, also here, is secretary. I'm a member at large. We began as a mutual support group of seniors, expanded early on with grants to provide information relevant to aging with resilience, and to present some lifelong learning events. We are committed to building intergenerational connections, especially through the Intergenerational Memoir Project, connecting McMaster students with seniors writing their memoirs, and through involvement of student volunteers as working behind the scenes today, Jess Downer, Owen Liu, and Durga Sivakumar. The Mary Buzzell Scholarship for Resilient Aging is now one of our key activities, investing in the next generation of leaders in the field of aging. Thanks.
Thanks, Ellen. Um, so today I'd like to now introduce you to the scholarship. And Ellen, please feel free to fill in any blanks for me. So toward the end of Mary Buzzell's life, her close friend, Ellen Ryan, proposed to the board of directors of Hamilton Aging and Community that we establish a scholarship to both recognize Mary's legacy and support McMaster students whose degree focus is, broadly speaking, in the area of resilient aging. So the scholarship became one of our major projects and inspired us to seek charitable status through CRA so that we could offer receipts for donations. We've been a registered charity since late 2023. So as of today, we have awarded 4 scholarships, 2 in late 2024 and 2 more in late 2025. So the undergraduate recipient receives $1,000 and the graduate recipient $2,500. So we are delighted that the 2 most recent recipients have sent us a video on themselves and their research, and I'll present their videos shortly. And you can find out more about our scholarship on our website, hamiltonagingtogether.ca. So we're very happy to be able to continue Mary's legacy through this scholarship, and we thank all of you for your support of the scholarship and also our organization, Hamilton Aging and Community. So now I'd like to introduce Dr. Christopher Patterson. He is a retired geriatrician who, after graduating from King's College Hospital Medical School in London in 1970, came to Canada and worked as a general practitioner in Northern Ontario for 5 years. After residency in internal medicine and following and fellowship in geriatric medicine, he joined Dr. Irene Turpey in the Division of Geriatric Medicine at McMaster. He practiced internal and geriatric medicine in the Hamilton area, Niagara Peninsula, and Northern Ontario until his retirement in 2023. And since then, he maintains an interest in research and clinical teaching. He volunteers at St. Matthew's House in Hamilton and serves on the editorial board of the Indian Journal of Gerontology. So thank you, Dr. Patterson, for being here today, and I'll turn it over to you to tell us all about Mary Buzzell.
Thank you very much, Loretta. I must say it's a great privilege to be talking about Mary, who's truly an icon of Canadian nursing and advocacy for older people.
There you go.
Okay. So, Mary Buzzell. Mary Buzzell, I first met her with her mother. Her mother was referred to the geriatric clinic when she was in her 90s. And the main issue was that Helen wanted to take a ski run in her wheelchair, and most families would have been absolutely horrified and said, "Mother, you simply can't do that." Helen, however, was very determined, and Mary, in her very characteristic way that I've learned subsequently, said, instead of "Mother, you can't do it," she said, "Mother, let's see how we can do it." And that really, to me, sort of signifies her attitude throughout her professional career. It wasn't "how can't we do it," it's how can we do it. Now, for this presentation, I'm very grateful to Andrew Joshi, who made available to me a book called Our Friend Mary Buzzell, which is full of photographs and stories about her, and I have drawn very heavily from that. Andrew Joshi, as you all know, is a mentee of Mary, as of course many of us are, who has been a lifelong friend of Mary and has been a great support to her later in her life. Mary was born in Montreal and has a Bachelor of Nursing from McGill, and early in her professional career she worked in Vancouver in the Shaughnessy Veterans Hospital and in the Montreal Neurological Institute. But our story really begins when she joined McMaster in 1977. One of the things that she did in her long career within what was then the Department of Nursing was to introduce the first nurse practitioner training program in Ontario. But what she's probably best known for is her advocacy for personhood in older people, and something I think that many of us were really not aware of in our earlier careers, and the importance of looking through the illnesses and disabilities to the actual person on the inside, and how very important that is. She has done a remarkable number of things. In fact, it's almost easier to list the things she hasn't done than the things that she has done. For example, she consulted for the Canadian Nurses Association in Sweden and Thailand. She taught in Australia and New Zealand. She was a prominent member of the Canadian Federation of University Women. And this is a picture of the Department of Gerontology. Oh my goodness, sorry, the slides keep advancing. The Department of Gerontology, which I think was one of the first in Canada. There's Margaret Denton, there's Ellen Ryan, there's Ronald Bain, Carl Kinnanen, there's Andrew Joshi, Heather Patterson, Mary Buzzell, and on the right I have inserted sorry about this, it keeps advancing on its own. I've included Carolyn Rosenthal in that, who wasn't in that original photograph. Mary wrote a great deal on a variety of subjects, but one of her most important publications was this by Mary and Mary Gibbon, the two Marys as they became to be known, in Canadian Nurse in 1991, an article about personhood, which was really a very influential article. Some of the other things she wrote about was the importance of nurse practitioner preparation and about vulnerable people, and really writings across the spectrum of advocacy for older people. This was a CD that she produced with Andrew Joshi, which I was privileged to play a small part in. And it really illustrated the idea of personhood to people who were not familiar with that concept. A very, very useful production. One of the other things she did was help with Gail Elliott in developing a Montessori method for managing individuals with dementia, and that has developed into the Dementiability project that Gail Elliott has carried forward. In 2012, an honorary Doctor of Laws was conferred on Mary, and here's a photograph of her in her regalia. On her right is her sister Janet and her husband, and on the left are her two nieces. This was obviously a tremendous accolade for her, and she was always very grateful for it, and I think very, very proud of her doctorate. In parallel with McMaster, she worked with the Victorian Order of Nursing, and this was a joint appointment with McMaster until 1988, and from 1989 until 1997 she was the Director of Community Relations. Very influential indeed. Two of her important achievements were developing a palliative care nursing team within the VON, and also a caregiver education program, which was extremely helpful for caregivers of individuals with disabling conditions. Just to show the lighter side of Mary, on the 85th anniversary of the VON, here she is riding on a horse accompanied by and I'm having a senior's moment here. Somebody help me. I know exactly who it is. I just cannot think of her name. It's Molly Anderson, yes. So that's my senior's moment, and that's Mary on horseback. Another of her great achievements was that she was a nursing consultant for the Aga Khan Health Service. She served in Kenya, Pakistan, Tanzania, and Uganda, and helped them develop lady health visitors, which was a sort of a novel way of helping the health issues of people in very much underserviced areas. So she promoted her nursing education and health services experience. And here is a picture of their host in Islamabad, Rani. There's Mary and Olga Roman, both who've been given traditional hats, actually presented by the princess, the daughter-in-law of the Aga Khan, and this gentleman is the Minister of Health of Pakistan. So really another very important initiative that she took. Now, she has literally mentored generations of leaders, and here's just a couple of representative pictures of the young and the less young people that she's interviewed and influenced over the years. In 2012, she, Donna Rowe, and Mary Gibbon received the Her Majesty the Queen Diamond Jubilee Medal, another great honour for her and her colleagues. Towards the end of her life, there were a group of people that became known as the team, who helped care for her in her final days. This is Betty Mugger, Bonnie Lendrum, Anne Neal, Janice North, and Carolyn Milne, who were amazingly helpful to her in her final days, and really reflected the way that she has been such a marvelous friend to other people, and how that has yielded extreme friendship in reverse. The two organizations that Mary founded were the Hamilton Council on Aging and the Hamilton Aging and Community that you've just heard about, Ellen and Loretta, who have introduced the scholarships for undergraduate and graduate education. Just a couple of Mary's sayings, which I think are really memorable. The first was recalled by Sheila Keeley of the VON. Everything is a teachable moment. People are what matters most. Silence can be golden, and we all have the power to make a difference. I think those are extremely wise sayings. And the one that she said later in her life, I want to make my own rules and break them when I choose. I think that's a marvelous statement of autonomy that we can all respect. So, what is the best way we can recognize the legacy of Mary Buzzell? Well, Mary Buzzell Scholarship. So, what I want you to take away from this is that you must get out your credit cards and check and make your contributions. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Christopher. That was lovely. And yeah, if you can stop sharing, that would be good. There we go. Perfect. Well, Mary had a very full life, and that was a short but very full summary of her life. And I know so many of you knew her well, and it's a great honor to celebrate her and remember her this way. So now I'm going to show the video made by our undergraduate recipient, Jess Downer. Now, Jess is here today. She's on a train. There you go. So I'm going to share her video that she made in which she talks about the research that she's doing. So Jess is going to be graduating in June with her undergrad degree and going on to a master's degree at McMaster as well. So congratulations, Jess, for that. And a reminder, if you have any questions for Dr. Patterson, you can put them in the chat to everyone or after Dr. Turpey speaks. And also, if you have any for the students as well, you can put them in the chat. So I'll share, if I can find it. Hang on a minute. It's always something here. Okay. There we go.
I don't hear any sound, Loretta.
Okay. One moment, please. Thank you for that. I'll start it again.
Hi there, my name is Jess Downer, and I recently wrapped my final semester as an undergraduate student at McMaster University, where in June I'll be graduating with a combined honors degree in Health and Society and Aging in Society. Over the past few years, I've really discovered passion in the field of aging. Often what I refer to as my light bulb moment happened in my third year, when I had the opportunity to volunteer for my required field placement course at the Gilbrea Center for Studies in Aging. It was there that I found myself truly exercising my love for working with older adults in creative and innovative ways. My research focuses on intergenerational programming, dementia, aging, and technology, but at the core of all, it's a simple goal: to amplify aging voices and help improve the health and well-being of older adults. Just recently, I wrapped up my fourth-year undergraduate thesis called Staying Connected, which explored older adults' self-reported effects of in-person and virtual intergenerational programming. Through my thesis, paid work experience, and volunteering with Hamilton Aging and Community, I've learned just how important it is that we listen to older adults, actively involve them in conversations about their own care, and build communities where people can age with dignity and connection. Alongside my academic work, I've had the opportunity to work with the Canadian Longitudinal Study on Aging as a communications assistant. That particular role has given me a chance to see just how large-scale research can shape policy, programs, and the way we understand aging in Canada. It's been incredibly meaningful to contribute to something that has such a wide impact. Throughout my undergrad, I've also stayed very involved in the McMaster community. I hold senior volunteer roles with the Gilbrea Student Group and the Health, Aging and Society Student Association, and outside of campus, I volunteer with the United Way and, of course, Hamilton Aging and Community. These experiences in particular have shown me just how much strength there are in community-based work and how much we can accomplish when we support one another. Receiving the Mary Buzzell Undergraduate Scholarship for Resilient Aging was a moment that really stuck with me throughout my final year. Financially, it helped relieve some of the pressure that comes with being a full-time student balancing work, research, and volunteer commitments. But more than that, it felt like encouragement. It felt like someone saying, "We see the work you're doing and we believe in where you're going." That kind of support makes a huge difference, not just in what students can afford to do, but in how confident we feel moving forward. After I graduate in June, I'm excited to share that I will be continuing my studies in health and aging with a focus on gerontology through the master's program here at MAC in the fall. Ultimately, I want to work directly with older adults in social services or long-term care where I can help foster compassion, dignity, and resilience in later life. That's the kind of work I'm committed to, and this scholarship helped me take another step toward that future. To the donors who make scholarships like this possible, thank you. Your generosity doesn't just fund education, it supports students' passion, their goals, and the communities they hope to serve. I'm incredibly grateful, and I hope you'll continue supporting students like me who want to make a meaningful difference in the future.
Thank you, Jess. She really stood out like a bright shining light among the applications for the undergraduate scholarship. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions for her, you can put them in the chat. So now I'm going to share with you video from our graduate student, Leo McCauley. And he unfortunately can't be here today, but here we go. And he stood out as well as an excellent recipient of this award.
Hi everyone, my name is Leo and I'm a registered nurse. I'm currently working in the intensive care unit or ICU. I'm also a graduate student here at McMaster University, currently pursuing my master's degree in nursing. Outside academia, I really enjoy running. I actually have a half marathon or 21K this coming Sunday, and a week after that I'm running 10K. I really enjoy traveling as well. A few days ago, I just got back from Guatemala, hiking one of the most active volcanoes in Central America. And hopefully one day I get to see all the 7 wonders of the world. Outside my hobbies, in terms of my research, I'm looking at the aging population broadly, but more specifically, I'm looking at the personal support workers in long-term care. My thesis tries to examine and explore the experiences of newly arrived and longer-term immigrant personal support workers in long-term care, hopefully to understand their unique experiences, the challenges that they face, and the coping strategies that they use working in long-term care. The aim of this research is to hopefully understand why they remain in the long-term care sector, and hopefully we can use the findings of this research to better support the retention strategies for personal support workers working in long-term care, so we can provide the high-quality care that the aging population needs and deserve. I really want to thank you for all your generous support for making donations through Hamilton Aging and Community to support aspiring researchers like myself and taking an interest with the research that I'm doing. I hope that you can continue supporting this organization to support more aspiring graduate students like myself in the future. Thank you and enjoy your day.
Okay, and that was Leo. So two outstanding students. And he unfortunately not here today, but I'm sure he his research will be very important to the aging community, as will Jess as well. So now I'm going to introduce Dr. Irene Turpin, and I'll tell you a bit about her, and then I'll ask her to speak. So Dr. Irene Turpin obtained her medical degree from Glasgow University in 1964. After graduation, she spent a year working in Nairobi, Kenya. She continued her medical education when she came to Canada, completing her training in internal medicine and geriatric medicine at McMaster, with fellowships from the Royal College of Physicians of Canada. She was awarded the Nicholas and Hetty Monk Award from the Baycrest Centre in Toronto in 1981 to allow overseas training in geriatric medicine. She has a Master of Science from McMaster University in Clinical Epidemiology and a fellowship in medicine from the Royal College of Physicians in Glasgow. She worked in geriatric medicine in Hamilton since 1981 to 2022 at St. Joseph's Hospital and Hamilton Health Sciences, and is the former head of the Division of Geriatric Medicine. She was a member of the Research and Ethics Board of St. Joseph's Hospital from 2013 to 2023. Dr. Turpin has provided outreach geriatric care in Manitoulin Island and at the Greater Niagara General Hospital during this time. She is a professor emerita of medicine, geriatrics. She has spent a sabbatical period in Somalia working with Doctors Without Borders in 2005 and was part of the internal medicine program in Kampala Hospital in Uganda in 2012, 2019, and 2022. About herself, she writes that she and her husband, I should say, she writes, my husband and I have been married for 61 years. We have 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. We were born in Scotland, but have lived in Canada for 54 years. I continue to be involved with medical work, although not in active practice. I enjoy walking my dog in Dundas Driving Park and many of the wonderful places that surround us. I'm lucky to have the fellowship of friends and family worldwide and am a member of a group of women physicians from McMaster who've been meeting regularly for over 40 years. So thank you very much, Dr. Turpin, for being with us today and for sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you.
I wouldn't call it wisdom, but I'll try. Let me see if I can find the right thing to put up. This might be it.
Yes.
Okay. I thought I'd better start off with a little bit of science, and then we'll go to the funner stuff. So there we go. Next slide. How do I do that? Come on, next slide. There. There are some good facts that you and this is thanks to the Canadian Longitudinal Study on Health and Aging that we know all this stuff now. We know that there's an increasing population of elderly people in Canada. When Christopher and I both started work in geriatrics, 7% of the population was over 65. It's now 20% of the population is over 65. So you can see that there's been an enormous change in the population, even in the population of Canada. And another thing that I think is really important, and I don't think, I'm glad to hear what your students said. I don't think we're doing enough about equality and diversity in caring for elderly people. And we can perhaps talk about that later, but I think that is something that needs to be emphasized and considered in the future. And here's a fun fact: there's more adults over 60 than there are children under 12, I think, in Canada now. So it's an important we are an important demographic. And that's just showing you what happened to it used to be a triangle, the population curve in Canada, and now it's not. You can see the huge bulge at the top. And I heard you talking at the beginning about the number of centenarians, and yep, there's more and more centenarians, and it's lovely to see how well and healthy many of them are. And the other thing on the other side, and again, I think this is important. This is showing the population, the percentage of visible minorities in Ontario. And this is what I do think we need to be perhaps paying a little bit more attention to. And of course, with my interest in global health, it would be wrong if I didn't mention some of this. It's not just in so-called developed countries that we're seeing the aging population increase. I see it. I saw it every time I went to Uganda. There's more and more older people. There's more and more of the kind of problems that we see in aging. They're occurring earlier, but we see, and they do not have health systems that we have that can support them. And look at this in 2050, and I don't know what generation that will be, but 80% of older people will now be living in low and middle income countries. So the aging thing, it's not just a Canadian thing. It's not just it's a global thing, and the pace of population aging is much faster than it used to be, and I think I told you that about 6 people over the age of that, so I'll miss that one out, and I'll just miss that out. So, what about aging? Well, it doesn't, and this is where I'm going to veer off from the science. It doesn't start when you're 65. That's important. People think, oh, okay, I've retired, I better do what I can do. No, you should start thinking about it about 60 years before that. And aging is a lifelong process. And it's not necessarily, and this I also think is so very important. Aging is not necessarily, healthy aging is not necessarily the absence of disease. And I'll tell you about that later on. Healthy aging is, and it's a continuous process. Now, you've probably all seen on Netflix all this stuff about the blue zones, but I truly believe that we can learn something from Okinawa Island in south, which is off the south coast of Japan. It has more centenarians. Now, the critics say that they don't have proper proper records, but very few places have proper records of 100 years ago. But we do know that there's no cars on Okinawa Island, and it's like that. Jersey, I think it is, in the United Kingdom. People walk or bicycle where they have to go. They have a low-fat diet. They have a low-calorie diet, and they'll eat less red meat. We know that they have green and yellow vegetables and basically a Japanese diet, and less dairy, and they're always going somewhere bicycling. You never see them bicycling one by one. They're bicycling 2 by 2, and they also keep good company, so that's important too. And then I have to mention the Mediterranean diet, which again, we could discuss that academically, but there's no question about it that there are aspects of the Mediterranean diet that help us stay healthy as we age. Decreased fat, taking and dairy, but skim milk, leaving out the fat in the milk, leaving moderate alcohol or none at all, if you listen to the Canadian experts. Every day, drinking lots more water and just keeping to fish and eating red meat less than every day of the week. Now, this is an interesting and historical picture. I don't know if you recognize anybody in it. I'm hiding at the back. You can see me peeping up at the back. But can you see, I don't know if these are a group of physicians, women physicians in Hamilton. This is where I come to the resilience bit. And we were women physicians in Hamilton. I think it was 40 something years ago. And to be a woman physician 40 years ago, you really didn't have much friends. When I see about my daughter going to yoga, going to movies, going to the theater, doing all these things that she's doing, I think, oh, why did I not do these things? And I realized I had no time to do these things. I was busy working and I had 3 small children. So what this group of women did, there's family doctors there. There's me peeping at the back. There's an anaesthetist there. There's Dr. May Cohen there, whom you may recognize, but she was much younger and equally lovely then. And then out at the end, I don't know if you recognize Roberta Bondar, who was in our Department of Medicine many years ago. And we used to say, well, we never get to do anything with friends. We're going to meet once a month. And we met once a month for 40 years or so and had dinner. We weren't allowed to talk about medicine or any of our work. We were allowed to talk about books. We were to talk about movies. I think we were allowed to talk about some of the nonsense our children got up to, but and we did that every single month. And, we still do it. Some of us are not me, but not yet, but some of us are well into our 90s. And we still do it once a month, and I think it is some of us are in homes, I don't know what to call them there, but basically places where they're getting a lot of help. But we still enjoy the same companionship. So companionship is such an important part of resilience. And here is exercise, and I'm glad. Was it Loretta? You exercise your dog every day. I'm glad we should go together one day. And there I am with my naughty Labrador dog. I think we're doing that for. I think I can't remember what particular walk that is, but I certainly walk a great deal. And what does exercise do for you? Well, you know that it's good for your bones. It's you know that it's good for your joints. And even if you've got painful joints, take them for a wee walk because that helps them. We know that it's good for your heart. We know that it's good for your brain. There's good evidence that exercise is good for your brain. I mean, it gets your circulation going. And I find that going for a walk, I call it tidying up my head. I get to think of all the things I've got to do, and I tidy up my head when I go for walks. And this one I particularly like down at the bottom. Can you see the bull there? Well, the bull there, and that's another, and dare I say it, I wrote, it's good for your bowels to go walking. It helps your intestine work. But you know what that bull is? That bull is what happens when you believe AI, because the bull. And because I had written down bowels, and that's what AI has interpreted bowels as. Bull. I find that, just remember that, and it's a lesson to remember, a salutary lesson, not to believe everything you read on this AI that's out at the moment. um, uh, uh, and and other kinds of exercise are important too. I once counted my steps when I was doing housework, which I don't do all that often, but I was doing a lot of housework. I did 4,000, 5,000 steps that day. So it's really just remember that you don't need to do formal exercise, and of course gardening, as you know, and any gardening, golfing, as long as you don't sit in a cart. Tai Chi, I see women and men in the park in Dundas doing Tai Chi, and I know that is such a good exercise because it helps your balance and is so very, so there are so many forms of exercise that you can use. Now, the other thing is community. We know that community, and you're obviously all experts at this, so I'll just run over this. But faith-based communities are very helpful and supportive to people who belong to them in aging. Oh, is that too long? Am I talking too long?
No, that was, never mind that.
Okay.
Just a signal.
Usually these mean you've got 1 minute and then you have to shut up. Volunteering activity, we know that's very important. One of the most important volunteering activities that Canadian seniors do, and they should be very proud of it, is family care. There's hardly any of my friends that I know that don't do some form of babysitting. The lifelong learning that you're talking about, that you and your group are doing and talking about, and that's important too. And there's a word there I wanted to unless that I think is very important. It's called consider walkability. When you're thinking of where you want to move, St. Joseph's Estates, Amica, the Creekside Apartments, the great thing about these places is their walkability. You do not need to drive a car to go into the town. You do not need to drive a car to go to the library. You don't need, and walkability will take you places where you can, and the other place, walkability to Tim Hortons, which, as you all probably know, if you go into any morning, there's obviously lots and lots of seniors enjoying each other's company there. Just one or two medical things, because wait a minute, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go that, and then I'll go back to these other ones. The one thing that people are afraid of as they age is the neurocognitive disorders, the dementias, the whole group of diseases that can be put together under the dementias, and I have seen this beginning in Africa, and that's where I got so interested in what I think is one of the most important things that we in the healthcare professions can do in the years going forward, and that is doing everything we can for the prevention of dementia. So that's a really important. I'm just going to mention a little bit about it as I run through it. We cannot prevent Alzheimer's. We may be able to do. There are things that we seem to do that we can reduce the incidence of Alzheimer's disease, and these sort of things that are being shown now by global investigations, and things like early education of children. Now in Africa, children get to go to school until they're 12. The government will give education up to the age of 12, but you have to pay for it after that. And that's something that I think the African countries need to deal with, and make sure people get more education as children, because that's when your brains are most receptive, when you're putting all these little pathways, neurological pathways in your brain that will keep your memory later later on. The other thing is hypertension and high blood pressure. And I always like to mention this when I'm talking on this topic, because it's not just your blood pressure when you're 85, it's your blood pressure when you're 45. And we know that your blood pressure in middle age has a very important part to play in your arterial aging, and thus some of the conditions that may provide a form of dementia and so atrial fibrillation, you don't need to hear all that stuff. Hyperlipidemia, you know all that. Impact of concussion, and of course that's. I go down to my grandson's hockey games and say, "Are you all wearing your helmets? Have you got your helmets on?" And the big problem, huge problem in Africa, these bodas, people driving around in these motor bicycles, and head injuries are there's 6 or 7 a night in the emergency rooms in Kampala, and we need to avoid all that. Exercise, I've told you, is good for you, good diet and resilience, and that's important. So I just wanted to, and here's just in passing, medications, and Canada's seniors, seniors over the age of 65 take on average 5 medications a day. I believe over the age of 80, some of them take 10 medications a day. And of course, one of that they take, which seems quite a lot to me. I think there's important things. If you're worried or you're not sure about the medications you're taking, you can do now. And you can't get a hold of your family doctor, the pharmacists can give you a good review of your medications, and that can be very helpful. And the another important thing is, if it absolutely astonishes me when I go into pharmacy and I see the rows and rows of OTC, over-the-counter medications that are available now. It's just be careful when you're adding over-the-counter medications to your own medications, and make sure and check that that's an okay thing to do. And here's another of my little things I'm always on about, is watch your salt concentration. Now, we were not built to consume the amount of salt that we eat. Salt makes food taste better, particularly processed food. And I think at our age, well, I don't know what your age, my age, I probably shouldn't be taking more than 1,500 milligrams to 2,000 milligrams of salt a day. Now, if you look in the supermarket at the food you buy, you will see how much salt there is in bread, how much salt there is in any processed food that you buy, and just look at it sometimes and wonder if you're taking, if you need to reduce the amount of salt you're taking. Right, now this is Keep Your Brain Alive, and this is me having a great time in Kampala. Actually, I wasn't actually teaching them. They were actually wanting me to write my name on the backs of their white jackets because they've just graduated from medical school. But it's been such a privilege for me to go and continue teaching medical students into my old age. One thing that I don't think we talk about, and maybe Ellen will have something to say about this, we don't talk about too much. Aging is also a time of loss, and I've put this photograph in here. You probably won't reckon, but that great big gawky girl in the front there, that in the white jacket, that's me. And this was a school photograph. Somebody said, was it St. Trinian's? No, but the important thing is that some of my very best friends for the last 60, 70 years are in that photograph. And some of them are no longer with me, and that's one of the things that I've noticed at my age, in my 80s, how many people I have lost, and how and having to cope with that. I cherish my friends, and I cherish their memory. And for instance, I don't know if you can see the one with the curly hair on the bicycle to the right, Elva. That was my best friend at school. And every Christmas we used to sing a particular carol together. She has gone now, but every Christmas I still sing that carol and remember her. And I think as you get older, you should not be afraid to try new challenges. And here, there's the same photograph, Christopher. There you go. These are two of the most resilient elders that I have ever come across. The old lady who lived through 70 years of turmoil and extreme turmoil at the end, who worked until I think the day before she died, she just was a real good example of resilient aging. And then Nelson Mandela. Now, I've had the pleasure, the privilege of going to Robben Island off Cape Town, where he was held a prisoner. You saw he exercised. You saw the nasty little dirt-filled place where he was allowed to go and walk once a day. You saw there was nothing green in that place. He apparently had porridge, which of course, as all we Scots know, is very good for you and good for aging. He had porridge for breakfast. He taught his jailers how to read. The story that I love is that it was a dirt floor on his cell. You can still see it, and he got a stick and drew out a chessboard, and got some bits of paper and made chessmen. And he and his chums had games of chess on this chessboard on the floor of his cell. I mean, is that resilience, or what is it, or is it not? And finally, I wanted to finish this story because this is really in many ways the story of my life. In that wheelchair is my cousin Graham, who died 6 months ago. He was born, and this is what I mean, resilience in aging. This is how you do not need to be healthy. You do not need to have you can age well even with disability. And Graham had cerebral palsy. He was 12 years old before he could walk. He had the great benefit of great parents. His mother went to school with him and wrote out his lessons for him. And he got to Edinburgh University. He got a PhD, would you believe? He became a minister of the Church of Scotland. He wrote books on disability and was a very vocal advocate for disability in Scotland. And and all I'm saying is, when he died and we all were sitting around talking about him, and we were saying, what could he have achieved if he had been able to walk the way we do, and every single one of us said, he would not have achieved what he did achieve. What he did was to deal with his disability, to live through it, and to write these books on faith and disability. And Joan, you've met Graham, you know what he was like, and it was one of the great privileges of my life to be part of his life, and to see the grace and resilience with which he aged. And that's where I'm going to stop. There you go.
Thank you so much. Yes, that was incredible. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for either Irene or Christopher? I know we're getting on in time, but
Sorry, I went on a bit.
no, you didn't go on at all. It was great listening to you, and a good reminder of how we should live and what we should do. So, all right. Well, I'm going to call on Durga. I think what's up next is while we've all been listening and talking, Durga has been creating a word cloud on Mary Buzzell. So there was one done at the Celebration of Life a couple of years ago, but we've done one today. So I'm just wondering, Durga, if you can share that with us now.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I've just gone ahead and made a word cloud after listening to what everyone has said about Mary and her impact. So I've included words like personhood and resilient aging to represent her core philosophy, which was obviously focusing on quality of life for older adults. And then we have Hamilton Aging in Community and HCOA to reflect the organizations she founded, which just speaks to her leadership in building community-based support for aging. And then we have nursing, educator, scholar to highlight her contributions to healthcare, including her work in education and her publications on personhood and nurse practitioner training. And then we have words like mentor, advocate, and leader to just reflect the lasting influence she had on the field and on people in general. And we also have words like travel, family, fun loving, which I think just capture who she was beyond her professional work. So, yeah, I think that's just a few words that can speak to who she was and her character.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you. And we'll share that too on our website as well. So thank you so much for that. Then last but not least, our door prize. So I'd like, not yet, Jess. Jess, hang on a sec. Do you want to stop share on that? Yeah, hang on just a sec. The reason for that is I want to screen share what the door prize is. So I'm having a bit of trouble with my mouse, but there we go. Okay, can you see that? So our door prize for today, because Hamilton Aging Community, besides the scholarship, we also promote memoir writing, legacy sharing with your family, those kind of things. We decided that it would be great to offer through Storyworth their basic package. So hopefully you can see up at the top, storyworth.com/CA. So the winner will get, I'll just go here, the basic package, which is worth $79 plus tax. You get a black and white book with a color cover, et cetera, et cetera. You can see on there. You could also upgrade if you wanted to, if you are the winner. So those who are eligible to win today are, I think we have 7 people who are on the thing.
Loretta, I could just add something more about what's involved with Storyworth.
Sure.
What the package is an intergenerational offering so that the person who wants to write the memoir has a contact person. Usually it's a gift. One younger generation gives it to an older member of the family and says, I and others in the family would like to know your stories. And what the program does is provide possible questions, and that younger person contact. So for a friend of mine, it was her son who would go through the possible questions and then choose the question for each week. So you get 52 weekly prompts to write a story, which might be a paragraph, and occasionally you might write 4 pages. And sometimes people write 50 stories, and sometimes people write 4 stories. But it's a very good way to promote intergenerational communication and passing on the legacy, which are themes that we promote in Hamilton Aging and Community. And so if you get it for free, then there's an opportunity for a younger and older person to be connected and for the whole family to benefit.
Great. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask Jess now to bring up our, there you go. Yes, the Wheel of Fortune. And she's going to spin it, and one of these lucky people will get the Storyworth Basic Package. Oh, Andrew is the winner. So Andrew will be in touch with you to get your prize too. Thank you.
I don't mind if you spin it again, since I messed up the time and I only was able to join the last bit because all my family was here. So I don't mind if you spin it and give it to somebody who attended the whole session.
Okay, we'll do that.
How gracious.
Spin away.
Oh, I see. We get to see how the digital works.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy, eh? Joan Robertson. Yay.
Great.
There you go, Joan. Congratulations. So we'll be in touch to get your prize to you. So just in closing, thank you everyone for attending today. A special thank you to our speakers, Dr. Patterson and Dr. Turpey. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell us more about Mary and resilient aging, and what we can do, those simple things that we can do in our lives. We don't have to go to the gym and buy a membership. We can, carry around soup cans or something. But thank you, and thank you to our students for helping out today. And as I mentioned, this will be posted on our website, so you can watch it again if you'd like to. And yeah, so, and also if you'd like to support us, you can do that online or e-transfer check. You can be in touch with us about that as well, because we hope to carry on the scholarships for as many years as we can. And congratulations to Jess and also to Leo, our scholarship recipients this year. They're both fantastic students at Mac with great potential for their lives ahead in the field of resilient aging. Great adventures for them. So any questions or comments that you'd like to, you can unmute yourself or put them in the chat if you'd like to, before we sign off.
Oh.
Okay.
Loretta, I could say something.
Sure.
I'd like to thank both Dr. Patterson and Dr. Turpey for participating, and both giving us examples of themselves as resilient agers. And may we all aspire to the kinds of joys and principles that Mary Buzzell had.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, anyone else want to say a word?
Maureen, I'd just like to say thank you. It was a great session.
Yeah, thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
And thank you, Chris and Irene.
It was very good.
I thought Irene was phenomenal as always.
And so were you, Chris.
Okay, well, thank you. And, we'll be in touch again throughout the year, and have a good Sunday afternoon, this beautiful day that we have. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Loretta.
Thank you.
Thanks.